The Fuel Good Factor is sponsored by the One-to-One Diet. Take your first step towards a healthier new you. Order the One-to-One Diet Taster Pack today to discover the delightful range of nutritionally complete products and start your weight loss journey.
The Fuel Good Factor with Michelle Livings.
Yes, welcome to the Fuel Good Factor, serving up news, views and expert opinion from some of the leading figures in nutrition, health and well-being. One sip or episode at a time, as well as bringing you emotional and inspirational stories from the One-to-One Diet Slimmer archive. Today's special guest is fashion editor and stylist Julie Clare, who will be telling us about her incredible career working for the likes of GMTV, Take a Break and Woman's Own, and giving us some amazing style tips. For those of us who are looking to maybe change things up a little bit after weight loss. And we're going to have this week's Slimmer Journey, which is a powerful story from Gemma Sterland.
I was dreading wearing the dress. I thought I looked hideous. I look back at the photo and I just look so sad.
But before we get to all of that, let's take a quick look at this week's Healthy Headlines.
Healthy Headlines.
So the first story that caught my eye was exercising outdoors could prevent non-communicable diseases. Now, 13,000 diseases, including heart disease and stroke, and that's in England alone. And it's thought that the reason is that exercising outdoors is very simply more enjoyable, it's more motivating, and of course people push themselves that little bit harder. And quite honestly, I think are more consistent with it as well, because it's something they enjoy and it's something outdoors. So that's well worth thinking about. If you want to get into an exercise regime, maybe get yourself outdoors. Another one that caught my eye, I think this was on the BBC actually, was a sharp rise in vaping among adults. And this is the number of adults in the UK who started vaping despite having never smoked regularly, and it's reached 1 million, scientists estimate, which seems like an incredible amount. Mainly in the 18 to 24 age group, so it's younger adults. Now, the government, of course, is planning to ban disposable vapes. But interestingly, the experts in the field suggest that there should be really stricter regulations about product appearance and the marketing of them, which I have to say I tend to agree with. And that would probably be the sensible next step. And then finally, another headline, and this is quite pertinent to my guest today, slimming down the wardrobe. Clothing retailers see a surprising trend due to weight loss drugs. This was featured in The Independent. And this is to do with America, but sales in the US of the 3 largest sizes of a button-down shirt have fallen by 10.9% in 2024 since 2022. Whereas sales of the smallest shirts have grown by 12.1%. So that's quite an interesting switch. And it's slimmed down shoppers who are also experimenting more with styles that they might have avoided as well. So there's that aspect going on. So that's quite an interesting one, and something that I will be asking my guest about a little bit later.
Healthy Headlines.
Let me introduce you to today's Fuel Good guest. Julie has worked in the UK fashion industry for over 30 years. And she's an expert in where to find the latest trends and how to wear them. Since graduating from the London College of Fashion, she's worked as a fashion editor for some of the UK's biggest selling women's magazines, including Women and Home, Women's Own, Bella, Take a Break, and Woman's Weekly. But her career has taken her around the world with these things, shooting features in lots of glamorous locations, as you can probably imagine. Alongside her work on magazines, Julie's also a television broadcast stylist and regularly works in the wardrobe department at ITV, dressing presenters on Good Morning Britain and Loose Women. Age 57, Julie believes that age is no barrier when it comes to looking good, and she loves the challenge of finding the perfect outfit that will boost your confidence and make you feel uplifted. She's also a qualified sustainable fashion expert with a wealth of knowledge on planet-friendly fashion brands and also ways to shop more ethically. Wow, that's quite a list, Julie. Welcome to the
Sounds
Feel
good
Good
when you say it
Factor.
like that, yeah.
It's really impressive. You've just done so much.
Yeah, I suppose I have.
You
yeah,
have.
When you look back over your career, yes. Yeah.
There's an awful lot to talk about. I mean, let's first of all start with this term stylist that I mentioned, that you're a stylist. What does that actually mean? Because we hear that word a lot. Oh, I'm a stylist. Oh, I've got my stylist, and all the celebrities have stylists. What is it? What do you do?
Well, a stylist is just basically any person that's employed to make something look good. So an obvious example, each stylist will sort of specialise in a certain area. And for example, a hairstylist is the obvious one. They will style your hair to make it look good. But you can get food stylists. So a food stylist might work on a shoot for McDonald's to make the burgers look good. An interiors stylist will plump cushions for a John Lewis ad or something like that.
Yeah.
And so my area, I'm a fashion stylist. So my area is clothes and fashion and making people from any walk of life look good in what they're wearing. So I'm also as well a trained journalist, so I can write about fashion as well as do the practical side. So
So how did you actually become a fashion editor and then a stylist? I guess it's a fairly natural progression.
Well, like you said in the intro, after school I went to the London College of Fashion and I did BTEC HND in fashion journalism. And then after that was lucky enough to start my career age 21 on Bella magazine, working in the fashion cupboard with the fashion editors, learning the trade. So I started my career on fashion magazines. And then managed to progress through the ranks, fashion editor. I then moved to Women's Weekly, and for many years I was there as fashion editor, and then take a break, and that's life. So I was always worked on sort of mainstream Women's Weekly magazines.
When you were doing those magazines, did you work with a lot of celebrities?
It was more real people, actually.
Right.
I worked when I was at Women's Weekly with a few celebrities, but no, I basically worked with models and real people most of the time. It hasn't been until the last few years when about 2.5 years ago, I got made redundant from the world of magazines.
Oh, right. Was that a COVID-related thing?
No, it was after COVID, actually.
Oh, right.
I think it's just more a general move away from people buying magazines.
Right, going digital.
And people like me that have been there a long time. What used to be a department of 7 or 8 people was at the very end a department of 1. And just lots of different factors that have led to there being less work as a magazine fashion editor than there was sort of 25 years ago.
So
when
I'm guessing
you
had to sort of diversify, really,
I did
and start
have to
branching out.
Yeah, absolutely. When I was over the initial shock, I was like, okay, what do I do now then? I knew that clothes and fashion, and I knew I had a lot of skills in what I did, but I also knew I wanted to or needed to sort of do other things to make life interesting and to earn money, basically. So I thought, I'd said to myself, I'm going to spend a year of saying yes to everything and just see what comes my way. And that led to quite a lot of reaching out to a lot of people I know and a lot of conversations. And luckily enough, I've got a lot of friends in the industry. And so one thing has led to another. And I've now got a nice sort of selection of jobs that I'm a freelancer. So people, when they need me, can call me up.
And are they all fashion related? Have you managed to still keep within that?
I have managed to keep within the fashion world.
Because that's obviously a real passion for you,
it's where
clearly.
my skill is as well. And it's what I enjoy. So
Why are you so passionate about fashion? Did it start when you were really young? Where did that come from?
I have always been interested in fashion when I was young. I was also interested in clothes in general. My nan taught me to sew and to make clothes. So one of the first memories I've got, one of the first clothes thing, I turned the shed at the bottom of the garden into my design studio and put the sewing machine in there that I inherited from my nan. And so I began very early on to make clothes. And I did sort of think at the time, actually, I want to be a fashion designer. People don't realise the amount of jobs that are in the fashion industry at that time.
Of course, yeah.
But I sort of then began to look at my mum's catalogues and things and think, actually, there must be a job that involves putting all those things together and putting that bracelet with that pair of trousers and that top, and that's quite an interesting thing. And maybe I'm not quite as good enough to be a fashion editor or as creative enough, but maybe that's another job I could do. And so it went on from there, really. And I was lucky enough to get the place on the course, and then from then on lucky enough to get a sort of apprenticeship on a magazine. So it's sort of one thing has led to another in
a
that
sort
respect.
of natural progression, really, from something that you were really passionate about, even as a young child.
And I think as a young child, you just think it's a bit like in any world. If you're really into sports, for example, you think the be all and end all is to be a Premier League footballer or a tennis player.
Yeah.
But very few people get to that point in life. But there are so many jobs in the industry that you are keen on that you can look into and try and find out more. And it just leads to a career where you enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah,
really.
that's
and,
very
I get
true.
Paid to shop, basically.
You lucky
and
lady.
To keep up with the latest trends.
How awful for you, Julia. How awful.
It's a hard job.
It's such a hard job. We talked about you working with real people, models and real people, normal people, mere mortals. And how is that? Tell us a little bit about working with that, because I'm presuming you did, when it came to magazines, you did shoots, makeover type shoots. So tell us a bit about that.
Well, I mean, before I start to dress anybody, whether they're a celebrity or a school mum, it's the same. You start from the same principle. You try and get to know them a little bit more. So when I was sort of given, because we used to run competitions at Take a Break where the winner would do a crossword and they'd win a makeover. So basically I had no idea. The type of people that I would be making over was so varied because they'd basically won the competition by doing a crossword.
You can't really take it from the answers, can you?
No, you can't. So the first thing I would do...
7 down, 5 across.
Yeah, and would always do is make sure I had a conversation with them, hopefully meet them in real life. But if I couldn't do that, it would be a conversation or a video call. And you really do need to find out about somebody, obviously, before you can even begin. And that would be, I always do start with some very practical questions, obviously, like height, weight, body measurements, and then also ask them what problems they have when they're finding and buying new clothes and, what sort of problems they might have with dressing. But then I also ask them a sort of set of questions to try and find out a little bit more about their style, personality.
Yes.
I always ask people what are their favourite places to shop, what they last wore when they went to a party, what they like to wear at the weekend when they go to the pub with their friends, just to get a general idea. But then I also ask them things like whose style do you admire?
Yeah, that's a good one.
So you could sort of try and, if someone said to me they admire Helen Mirren or somebody like that, I'd have a clear idea as to what they wish they would look like.
Yes.
And I also ask them sort of questions like, if money was no object, what shop would you like to, shop in for your clothes? So it's really doing your research in somebody so that you can really help them with particular questions. And that's whether you're working with a celeb or a real person, really.
I mean, I suppose these are sort of questions we could even ask ourselves. It's great having a proper stylist being able to help you, obviously, but it's still questions like, who do I admire? And okay, what shops do I like? You could almost sit there, couldn't you? And if you were having a little bit of you wanted to rejig your wardrobe, it's quite a good exercise to do, isn't it, I suppose?
Absolutely. It's one of the things, if you really want to try and, before you even go shopping, try and have a really clear idea what your style is, really. The next step is to really look at your existing wardrobe, open up your wardrobe and think to yourself, what are the things I'm reaching for on a day-to-day basis? What is the section of wardrobe that I'm wearing all of the time?
Because we do that, don't we? We go to the same thing.
We go to the same bit time and time again.
Yeah.
And try and work out why you're not wearing the things that have sat there for the last 6 months and haven't moved out of your wardrobe. And think to yourself, am I avoiding wearing those because they don't fit anymore, or they just don't suit my lifestyle? And then really think about whether you actually need those things in your wardrobe. You might be able to sell them or donate them, and or make some money to buy some new things. And then look closely at the stuff that you are wearing and think, okay, I really like those trousers because they're a great shape and they make me look and feel good. And then look at those trousers and think, okay, well, if I got a couple of pairs of those trousers in different colours, then that would open up 3 or 4 more outfits that I can
That's a great
work
idea.
with. And I would suggest, that's where you should be spending your money. If money is tight and you have got a limited budget, spend your money on the clothes that you wear day in and day out, because they're the clothes that are really going to work hard for your wardrobe. You know, invest in a good pair of jeans, a great pair of trousers, a good white shirt.
Yes.
And when it comes to a special occasion and you need a dress for a wedding or a party, you know, you can borrow a dress, or you can hire a dress, or you can ask your best friend if you could borrow that dress.
That's really a thing at the moment, isn't
yes.
it? There's lots of companies online where you can literally hire it for a few days.
And it's getting better. It's getting bigger. At the moment, there's not a huge size. The size range isn't necessarily there. There's more to hire if you're in the smaller sizes.
Yeah.
But that is improving, and there are more sizes being uploaded to the higher websites. Yeah, it's just a case of investing in the wardrobe and the clothes that you wear the majority of time, because it's just going to improve your day-to-day life, not just that one night out that we have once in a blue moon at somebody's wedding.
True.
Which is great, and we all have our picture
we want to look
taken, and we
good,
want to look good when that picture goes up on the mantelpiece, but really we want to look good every day.
Of course we do. Oh, I wanted to ask you, when you're looking in the wardrobe, are you an advocate of doing, I've heard this thing and I have tried it, but then I keep forgetting to do it, of turning the hanger the other way. So then after 6 months you look and you say, okay, which hangers have I not then put the right way up, which means you haven't worn the clothes?
It's one method you can use.
Okay.
I personally don't do that because I'm a little bit like all my hangers.
That's the same as
all
me.
my hangers have
I
to
don't
face
like
the right
it.
way.
Yeah,
I'm a tidy wardrobe person, and if one hanger was facing the opposite direction, it would just drive me
Is
mad.
there another way you can do it? Would you organise your wardrobe differently and keep your sort of key pieces together, for example? Is that a good idea?
I like to keep my wardrobe in sections, so I'll have all trousers together and all blouses together. That's my way of doing it. But then actually one of the systems that we have in place, for example, when I'm working somewhere, when I freelance at Good Morning Britain, and so you'll have a wardrobe of clothes that belongs to Susanna or Kate, and there's a definite sort of method that we do. The outfit she wears gets put on the left-hand side, and then you know that outfit's been worn recently, so that won't get worn again until it comes round.
That's interesting.
And it's the same with the men's suits for the male presenters. You know, there's a method. It's quite an organised method. You could use that. You could use that similar thing in your own wardrobe. You know, you could put your clothes to one side and then try and use some of the clothes that are down the other end. It might make you sort of look in that other area and rediscover things that actually you've just forgotten about, and you do want to wear them, and you just like to bring them back into the favourite section.
Yeah. Do the celebrities, when you're doing the styling at the various TV shows, do the presenters have a lot of input, or is it all down to you as a styling team to come up with the outfits? How does it work?
Each programme will have a styling team. At Good Morning Britain, there's Debbie Harper, who's in charge of wardrobe, and I work for her. And so she would definitely so many times a year would talk to the presenters.
Yes.
And between the two of them, they will come up with lots of new ideas for that coming time that they want to do. Yes. And then when I go in to help, I will look in the wardrobe of clothes that are already there and think, okay, what's good for tomorrow's show? You know, that kind of thing.
And what influences your decision? Would it be topics that they're discussing? Would it be something that's going on in the news or in the world? Weather? How do you make your decision?
I think when working on a show like Good Morning Britain, where there's more than one presenter, female presenter, it's more of a practical thing. You've got to make sure they're wearing something which is a great colour for the camera, which is not
doesn't clash with the other presenter,
doesn't strobe on the camera. Those sort of practical elements. You have to make sure it's suitable for that. But then you have to try and make sure that the presenters aren't wearing all exactly the same thing or the same colour. It would look a bit silly if all three of the presenters are wearing animal print at the same time. But then equally, we like to try and make sure they're wearing similar colour tones, so there's nothing jarring. So there's a variety of things that when you're working somewhere like that you have to consider.
Interesting. I wanted to come back because you were here when I was talking about the healthy headlines, and I just wanted to get your feedback on the last headline that I spoke about, which was over in the States, about how retailers are seeing that sales are increasing for the smaller size of this button-down shirt. I think they took as an example, but they're decreasing on the bigger sizes. 10.9% in 2 years it's gone down. So I just wondered what your thoughts were on that.
It's It's very interesting.
Yeah.
And it could be that there is a real move towards, less of those bigger sizes being needed. I mean, the American market is very different to our market.
Yes.
I mean, when we're talking about those biggest sizes, the sizes that are available in the
Significantly
States
bigger,
are
aren't they?
significantly bigger than the UK. So we're talking really, really sort of very big sizes. But if there's a general shift in the fact that people are losing weight and not needing to buy those bigger sizes, then eventually the brands are going to stop making them because they'll only make them if they're going to make money from them. So I think it is really interesting. And obviously, what usually happens in the States at some point will filter down, and
Yes.
it'll be interesting to watch. But I do think those extremes of sizing in the US is a bit different from our market in the UK.
And I suppose retailers are always going to follow whatever, they're sort of consumer driven really to a certain extent, where if the demand's not there, then why bother supplying it?
Absolutely.
So that they'll just change with the times, won't
They're
they?
always going to be concentrating on their core customer that can make them some money, yes.
Yeah. Is there a way that people, because you said it doesn't have to be expensive, and I 100% agree with you, and there's lots of great high street shops, of course, that we can shop on and online retailers as well. But you also are quite focused on the sustainability side of fashion as well, aren't you? So what ways can people sort of shop slightly more ethically or slightly more sustainably rather than this constant sort of fast fashion?
Yeah, well, the most sustainable way to shop, unfortunately, is to not shop. Shop your wardrobe.
That's not happening.
I'm not going to pretend that fashion and fast fashion isn't one of the major contributors to the many, terrible things that are happening in the world, because it is. So it's just a case of being a bit more mindful and a bit cleverer in what you buy. That's the word. Lots of brands now are putting sustainability at the forefront of what they do. So I would say really look, and shopping online as well is actually quite an easier way of shopping sustainably, because a lot of websites now will actually give you that information, not just the price and the fabric detail, but there are brands that actually want to tell you where their clothes are from and what factory they've been made in.
Yeah.
And the fact that they maybe have got sustainable accreditations, like they're a B Corp
I was about to say
corporation,
B Corps,
is a really major, so if you're looking to, if sustainability is important to you, then you can find brands out there that are doing their thing. And the smaller brands that are a little bit more concentrating on that is where you should be shopping if you want to buy something new.
Yeah.
But I'm also a great advocate on pre-loved and buying secondhand. I think there's no shame in that anymore. It can be tricky, and it can be tricky if you're not, to get your size, but it's fun as well. I find a real buzz now going into a charity shop and quick whiz around the rails. But when you find something that's your size and what you like and your colour and your print, it's meant to be. And it gives you a real buzz. Yeah. And then you do feel good because you've bought it from the charity shop. Yeah. And I've got a lot of, I follow a lot of people on Instagram that sell pre-loved clothing as well. And I myself put a lot of stuff onto Vinted. And it's something that I do now mainly because my daughters do it all the time.
Yeah,
and
of course.
so I've learnt from them really. Whereas 10 years ago, I wouldn't have shopped in a charity shop or pre-loved. It just wasn't on my radar.
Yeah.
Now it very much is. So I'm really trying to do a bit more of that.
Yeah. And sort of, how have you seen fashion trends changing over time as well? Because that's the other thing. There are sort of certain trends, and you've worked in the industry so long, you must have seen these trends and also them coming back full circle as well.
I've seen them going round in many circles, and also, not just one.
Yeah,
I've
exactly. But do you find also that the trends reflect body shapes as well at the time? Because if you think back to the 90s, for example, when it was all about that sort of real skinny, the models back then, that were sort of almost like emaciated looking, if I remember rightly. It wasn't a great look, I don't think, but the fashion kind of sort of reflected
it wasn't
that.
a great look, but very worryingly, the catwalk has been full of those very, very skinny models
So it's
again.
come back round again.
It's come back round again, and there's a lot of controversy. I've seen a lot of the fashion editors that go and cover those shows have been very negative about it. And
yeah, I'm surprised by that.
It is
really
surprising, really.
Because there's so much more sort of acceptability with body sizing now, which is fantastic. But that really surprises me that they've done that.
And I never really understand it, to be honest, because I am seeing the opposite of that as well on social media.
Yes.
I am seeing a lot more women proud of their curves.
Yeah.
And Instagram, for example, has given real women the platform to really celebrate fashion. You know, whereas before it was just people like me, fashion editors, that had the ability to sort of show other people what to wear. Now anyone can do it with a phone and an Instagram account.
Outfit of the day.
It's a
hashtag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a hard job. I'm not saying that these women don't do a really brilliant hard job. It's a hard job to do if you're a fashion influencer.
Yeah.
But it's given platform to people that in the past wouldn't have had it. So there's some brilliant people that I follow that are curvy, mid-size, larger ladies. And I think that is filtering through. People are seeing that and thinking, I don't think I should be so worried about wearing that bodycon dress because she looks great in it. And we're only our own worst enemy when it comes to that. And society is embracing curves but unfortunately, it hasn't been evident on the catwalk this week.
That's really
there's
surprising.
a real disconnect.
Yeah.
But then I think throughout history, there's been a disconnect on the high end of fashion and what's going up and down the catwalks to what really people want. Whereas I specialise in real women and dressing from the high
absolutely.
street.
So what trends for everyday fashion, for normal people that aren't going to wrap themselves in DHL tape, what are the current trends that you're seeing?
Animal print is back again. I can't tell you how many times in my career
never goes
I've
out of
done
fashion.
an animal print story, but you cannot walk
it.
down the high street now without seeing, you know, every single shop has got an animal print.
Good.
And that, you know, it's fun. It's enjoyable to wear. It's fun.
I think that animal prints are completely neutral.
Absolutely.
They're a complete neutral. I wear them all the time.
And also, you know, you keep something, if you do keep something for long enough, it will always come back in.
Absolutely.
The coat, I've got a leopard print coat on today and it's at least 10 years old. So
I saw when it came in, I clocked your coat and it looks fab. And that's 10 years old.
Yeah,
there you go.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, no, brilliant. So anything else? So we've got animal print, we've got the colours. Any sort of styles or shapes that we should be going for? I'm seeing quite a lot of the nice looser trousers. I've actually got some sort of baggier ones.
Masculine tailoring. I mean, waistcoats were huge over the spring, summer. They're not going anywhere. They've now just been made in nice, warmer fabrics.
Lovely.
So a clean lines and tailoring, which is a really flattering look. Really big on the catwalk. But then you've also got, if that's not your thing, you've got the huge boho trend, which is suddenly back. You know, really sort of Stevie Nicks dresses and maxi dresses with a lot of embellishment and a lot of detailing. But actually, there's just a lot of really nice clothing out there.
Yeah. And just before we have a look at our slimmer story, I wanted to ask you, why do you think having a positive self-image is so important?
I just think clothes have got the ability to cheer you up and make you feel better about yourself. And if you build yourself a wardrobe that you can look at every morning and know that you can put your hand in and get an outfit or a couple of outfits that you don't have to think about, you don't have to worry about, you know, they fit you, you know, they flatter your figure, and they're just going to be great basic outfits that you can change up and down, like a really good pair of jeans and a great white shirt or a really good basic solid items in your wardrobe. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money in the long run, and it's just going to make you feel good about yourself. And it means that, I mean, we get one of the first things we do, obviously, is get dressed in the morning.
Yep.
We get up, we get dressed. So before we've even left the house, we can do something that makes us feel better about ourselves.
Yes.
Or we can do something that really makes us feel
not so good.
So not so good about ourselves. So if you can get up, get dressed, eat a great breakfast, get yourself dressed, and
you're
leave
already
the house,
winning.
You are already winning at life.
But it's true, isn't it?
And just have that glance in the mirror before you leave and think, okay,
Yeah,
I think I look quite good in what I'm wearing today. I've got this. I can smile and I can say hello to the person at the school run, or I can walk into the office of younger people and sort of hold my head up high. And I think, you know, if you're in a good place mentally, then it makes you stronger to tackle the sort of more physical ailments that you might get. And, you know, it gives you just a more general positive attitude that when things do go wrong throughout the course of the day.
Yeah, which things happen, things
you
do.
Can think, at least I've started from a good place.
Exactly. You've set the bar at a reasonable height.
And if you take that outfit off at the end of the day and put your comfies on and think, actually, I felt good all day.
Yeah.
I haven't felt uncomfortable all day. It hasn't annoyed me. I felt great. I'm putting that back in the wardrobe, and I know that next time I reach in for that outfit, that's a winner. And I haven't got to worry about it.
Yeah.
So that's just every little helps in life,
doesn't it? Yeah. No, really good advice. And following on from that, this week's Slimmer story comes from Gemma Sterland, who was shortlisted for the One-to-One Diet's Maintainer of the Year award this year. So let's hear Gemma's story and then we'll have another chat.
At 34, Gemma weighed over 21 stone, and although to outsiders she had a wonderful life with her partner and 2 sons, the reality was she feared for her health and worried she wouldn't be there for her family.
I suppose I always put a brave face on it, and I was the first one to make jokes about my weight, but inside I hated it. So after my second pregnancy, that was when I was at my biggest. Instead of just one child, I now had 2. I knew I was getting a little bit older. I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted to join in with all the activities, and I just wanted to get back to the old me.
In 2017, being a bridesmaid for her best friend should have been magical, but instead Gemma put on a brave face, whilst inside she felt devastated by the way she looked.
I was dreading wearing the dress. I thought I looked hideous. And I look back at the photo and I just looked so sad. Once that was over and done with, I never wanted to feel like that again. So that's when I decided enough was enough and I had to do something.
After an incredible 10 stone weight loss, Gemma's confidence has soared and seen her achieve things she never before dreamed of.
I think the crucial part is working up the steps to keep it off long term and rebuilding new eating habits. I've managed to keep this weight off now for about 6 years. Totally new person, newfound confidence. I feel fit, healthy, happy with the outfits I can choose. I can now recognise what makes me feel good, and it's like eating right, getting exercise, any activities I'm willing to give a go now. And I never want to go back to the old me. I feel happy, healthy, and also I want to be here for my family and my kids and enjoy life for as long as I possibly can.
Wow, a 10 stone weight loss. Absolutely incredible, Julie, isn't it?
Amazing. She looks absolutely amazing.
She looks like a different person.
Absolutely.
Amazing. She looks incredible. So I'm guessing that with such a big transformation like Gemma's, it can be quite hard to adapt because it's completely different. Your wardrobe's going to have to change completely. Where do you even start?
I mean, yes, it can be quite daunting. I've dressed a couple of ladies with that sort of amount of weight loss, and I'm not going to lie, it can be quite difficult.
Yeah.
It brings problems, if you know what I mean. That much weight loss can often result in some excess skin and areas that in areas that are really unusual places. So it's not an easy place to be, but it's such a positive thing, and I would start with underwear, to be honest.
Yeah,
and that
the foundations.
is the foundations to everything. And in fact, I think whether you've lost a stone or 10 stone, your body changes, and it's really important for women, obviously, to be fitted for a new bra. That's always my first.
Well, I've often noticed, even if I've lost a little bit of weight, not very much, sometimes just sort of if it's hormonal related, it's always the boobs.
It is.
That it shows in.
It does. It is. And it's definitely, people forget that you need to be fitted for a bra, ideally a couple of times a year.
Really?
Yeah. And if you're on a weight loss journey, I think it's really important, because your body will change. And it's not just for health reasons. Obviously, we'd be more comfortable in a well-fitting bra. A great fitting bra can actually make you look slimmer. It does. Yeah. It does. It lifts your boobs away, up and out. And, it can make you look slimmer. And it's definitely the place I tell my real people, women, celebrities, get fitted for a bra. I've been trained to fit bras as well now, so I can sort of see when somebody's wearing the wrong size bra. And
Right.
the first thing I say is, let's go and get your underwear sorted. And I'm not talking sort of really restrictive, suck you in body shape wear.
Good.
You don't have to be uncomfortable. But I think if you do want a smoother silhouette and you do want to feel a bit contained, there's so many new, there's so much technology now that goes into shapewear that means you can create a smoother line without feeling uncomfortable. So I would say start with the foundations, get yourself some great underwear that is going to just help with the next layer, the clothes that go on top. And I think if you've lost weight, it's definitely a good idea to invest a little bit of money in some new underwear.
Okay.
And then basically, the world is your oyster. If you've drastically changed shape like that, you do have to sort of rethink.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, your style doesn't have to change. If you've always been a sporty person that has enjoyed wearing sportswear and a bit more casual, then you can still be that person. You've just got, other areas that
probably
you can
more
look
options.
at. Yeah, you have got more
Available.
options.
It does open them up.
And be adventurous, be excited, take some time, enjoy, celebrate by investing a bit of time in yourself.
Yes.
And don't go sort of rushing out to the shops on a Saturday afternoon because you're going somewhere on Saturday night. Try and be a bit more organised. Try, like I said before, ask that friend that you've always admired. Can we spend next Tuesday at the shopping centre, and can we go to a few nice shops that I know I'm going to find things that I like because I've seen this brand on somebody else that I enjoy. Spend time in that shop. Allow yourself a little treat of trying lots of different new and unusual things on. I mean, when I'm dressing people, I always include a couple of things on the rail. They might have asked me for a certain few things. I always throw in a few unusual, exciting
Something a bit
things
left field,
that
just in case.
They've not asked for, but I think they would like. And they're always surprised. Like somebody might say, well, I never wear a jumpsuit. I can't wear jumpsuits. And it's like, well, try this on. You might be pleasantly surprised. And it's all about making the most of the bits that you really like about your body.
Yes.
What are the parts of your body that you really like about
And that might
yourself?
have changed with, say, a drastic weight loss of 10 stone. That's going to be maybe different.
I now actually love my legs, and I'm going to wear a pair of knee-high boots and a shorter skirt, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, celebrate those, work out what it is you like about your body and make the most of it. I mean, the main thing people come to me and say is, I hate my upper arms. That is, everyone says it. Women say, I want sleeves. And it's like, actually, that means you've cut out all of these beautiful dresses that you could wear for a party or on a summer's day.
Absolutely.
Why don't you try this dress on? It might not have sleeves, but it's got a great V neckline. You can put it with a statement necklace. And before you know it, nobody's looking at those arms because everyone's looking at this wonderful
how fabulous
detail
you look.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a wrap, so show off your cleavage.
Yeah.
Wear a fabulous pair of earrings that's going to draw all the attention
To your
towards
face
your
and
face and
your-
your hair. Get a great haircut. I mean,
Yes.
I would say that's almost where I start. The underwear, the haircut.
Yes, that's a very good point, actually. I didn't even think about the haircut. Makeup as well.
I mean, when I'm dressing a model on a shoot, you put them into hair and makeup first, and then you get them into wardrobe.
Okay,
when you're
interesting.
dressing, anybody, you put them into makeup because then once their hair and makeup is done, you think, oh, actually, that outfit that I didn't look so good. I'm not saying you need to wear makeup to look good in an outfit, but having a great haircut does help.
I agree with you.
It really does.
Because it can change your face.
Again,
it can
changes
change
your face when you've lost a lot of weight.
Yes.
Your hair changes as well. And it might be time to go for a new, shorter, funkier style. And that then can be reflected in what you choose to wear. So it's all linked together about what image you want that's going to make you feel good about yourself, really.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good
And it's
advice.
all about doing it for yourself.
Of course
Working
it
out
is.
what makes you happy.
Yes, not anybody
what
else.
makes you happy. Not anybody else. Not your husband, not your kids, not the other mums in the playground.
Yeah.
What makes you happy? What colours make you happy? What ones suit you, or what actually do you enjoy wearing?
And it will probably take a little bit of time as well. It's not necessarily that like the weight loss isn't going to be like the next day.
No.
So you need to take a little bit of time to adjust and get used to it, don't you,
and
as well?
Not only, it might actually take somebody else helping you as well. I mean, when we are doing these really important things in life, like losing weight, we turn to people that know what they're talking about,
Exactly,
and that you can
help
get
you.
experience from, that can help you, like diet plans and things.
Exactly.
So there's no harm in actually saying, actually, I need a bit of help with this. I mean, so it doesn't have to be a big department store. If you've got a local boutique where you like what you see in the shop window and you think, actually, I'd quite like to go in there and think, say to the people that work in there, I'd like to come in maybe next Wednesday and, can I book some time with you? Can I book some time for you to show me what's in and what's arrived this week and what you think might suit
some
me?
advice.
And some advice.
Yeah.
And then especially if you see somebody working there, you like their style and you like what they're wearing, they'd love you to do that. That's what they want to do. So take advantage of it. Be confident enough to say to somebody, I really like what you're wearing. Can you show me how I might put that together? And then also take advantage of, buy a great pair of jeans. You've got to do your groundwork. You probably have to try on 8 to 10 pairs in order to find. Don't go when you're in a bad mood.
No,
and,
never go shopping
when you're in a bad mood or hungry go when you've got time.
You feel good, you've got time. I think
when
that's
you've got
crucial,
time.
not in a rush.
Yeah. And, there are some shops where the changing rooms are awful.
Oh, the lighting.
And the lighting is awful.
Yeah.
And they will make you look bad.
No matter what.
They're the shops to be avoided. They're the shops to be avoided. They're the shops that aren't designed for you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of shops and brands that pay a lot of attention to the lighting in their changing rooms, and they want that experience to be an uplifting one. They are the brands that deserve your money, So seek them out. If you're not having a good experience in a shop, walk out of that shop and don't spend your money there. Go and find your tribe and your brand that's going to really resonate with you.
And I suppose it's about being a little bit more mindful as well about the shopping experience, rather than just, because there's that thing where you can emotionally shop, and it's that thing of like, oh, I'm in a bad mood, I'm just going to go and buy some clothes.
Impulse. We all do it. We all do it.
It's so detrimental in many ways, really.
I mean, there's a certain thing about getting a quick fix.
What's that dopamine hit?
Exactly, a dopamine hit. You think, oh God, I've got a party on Saturday night, and I just know if I get a good new top that I'm going to wear, I'm going to look fantastic.
I'm going to feel great.
And you will. You'll buy that top, you'll look fantastic. And that has got its place. But I'm talking about everyday dressing, building a wardrobe that is going to be a really useful and time-saving wardrobe. That actually takes a bit more thought.
Yeah.
It takes a bit more thought. You've got to be a bit clever about where you spend your money there, because you want to get a lot of wear out of those items. So they should be the items you're spending a bit more money on and spending a bit more time researching.
And the thing is, we work hard for our money. And in this day and age, with the cost of living as it is for everyone, you do have to be a little bit more thoughtful about what you're spending your money on. And of course, we do need clothes, and we want clothes that make us look good. But being more thoughtful about that makes sense anyway,
Absolutely.
Financially.
The last thing we want is a wardrobe full of mistakes. It's just it puts you in a bad mood, and you look at the things and you think, the amount of money I've spent on that and I never
wasted.
wear it. It's wasted money. You want a wardrobe that is going to be cost effective, give you value for money. It's all about cost per wear, isn't it? I've got one blazer that I particularly spent a little bit more money on.
Yes.
And I can't tell you
Cost
the
per
amount of
wear is
times
like
I've
pennies.
worn it. Exactly.
Yeah,
I've also got things in my wardrobe that were flops and last minute panic buys. With me, my downfall is shopping for a holiday. I think every summer, oh my God, I've got to get lots of new clothes because I'm going for 1 week to to
when
Spain.
last year's shorts and tops would have been fine.
That sort of thing. We want that. We want to look good for those occasions. But it's training our mind and training our purse and spending the money on everyday clothes that you can wear more than once and you can rely on to make you look good.
So much good advice from you, Julie. But just finally, really a final thought, summing it up. Over your career, we know you've met and worked with lots of different people that have come through their own weight loss journeys and had to overcome health issues, obviously, as well, especially with all the makeovers that you've done. And they're going to be people listening who are facing their own challenges. So just really a final bit of inspiration or advice for them to wrap this conversation up.
I think it's be positive. Try and focus when you start your journey with weight loss. Try and focus on where you would like what you'd like to achieve, and that can be obviously for health reasons, but it can also be a visual thing. I mean, it's such a visual thing. Make a sort of mood board, if you like, of people or friends that you think, actually, I'm going to get there and I'm going to be able to wear that kind of outfit that I don't feel comfortable wearing at the moment, and just focus on that really, and be inspired. Keep being inspired and surround yourself with inspirational people, and tailor your social media that you're looking at people that you admire, and unfollow people that you don't admire. And, just stay focused on the final result that you want to achieve, really.
Yeah.
And don't get too despondent when, there's a little hiccup and things like that. We all have hiccups.
Of course we do.
And treat yourself every now and again. A good pair of earrings every now and again will boost that, every time you've sort of lost a couple of pounds, maybe. Just sort of treat yourself, be kind to yourself, really, and focus on the end result.
Yeah, lovely. No, great advice. You mentioned social media, the dreaded social media, but for some inspiration on social media, where can people find you?
Oh, right. Yes, I'm on Instagram. It's at Julie Player Fashion.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for coming in. It's been lovely speaking to you and hearing all, lots of advice and some great tips as well. So thank you. I think people will find that really, really interesting and very useful as well. So thank you. Well, what a lovely chat with Julie. And I also loved hearing Gemma's story there as well, losing an incredible 10 stone. So inspirational. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks again to today's fabulous guest, Julie Player. And you can find all her links, along with information on everything else we've covered in the show notes. And don't forget to get in touch on the socials too, so we can give you a shout out. Do like and subscribe on your favourite podcast platform, and tell us what you want to hear in future episodes. That is it for today, so stay healthy, and I'll see you next time for another episode of The Feel Good Factor.